some of these kids coming in who are, in health sciences and studies and community health type stuff.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Cracks in the Pavement. I'm Jacob Lederman. I'm an associate professor in sociology here at UM-Flint. We're really thrilled to see so many of you here, people from across the campus community and across our broader regional community. I want to give a special thanks and Jason Koznovsky for helping put this together, as well as Kat Oak in the Dean's office. Thank you, Chancellor Alexander, who is around here somewhere, for being here today and supporting this kind of work at the university. It's been truly overwhelming putting this together over the last few months, but it wouldn't have been possible without the work of so many faculty and staff who are involved in this symposium today. Flint is in some ways a strange place to be having a symposium on democracy. Our city is among a handful of municipalities to have its democratic powers limited under emergency management just in the last decade. Even today, many residents feel that their voices aren't fully represented in local governance. The idea behind this grant was to turn that logic on its head, and I think it's an apt time to do so. The 3-year grant, which this symposium kicks off, asks faculty and students to partner with community members and organizations, artists and activists, to elevate and participate in work that's already being done in our community, and is not typically top of mind when we think about capital D democracy. Now, I promised myself I'd avoid the cliched Greek etymology, but suffice it to say that you can't have democracy without the demos, the people. As a sociologist, I'm going to very quickly make an observation that might add to today's conversations. Every social movement, every type of organizing, activism, and politics rely upon the largely hidden web of ties between individuals and groups. These everyday ties are the connective tissue that spiral up into broader social change. Such connections are all around us. The community garden, where decisions are made democratically, based on principles of mutual aid. The neighborhood organizations that have a voice because 2 or 3 or a dozen neighborhoods came together in ways that make their claims hard to ignore. Or indeed the local book club that might foster a sense of community and a shared solidarity. It would be naive to say in this moment, a moment of masked federal agents in our cities, rising polarization and distrust, and the capitulation of major societal institutions, that all we need is the cross-pollinating power of social connection to organize a more democratic society. But at the same time, social change requires these connections, not only because they are the building blocks of mass movements, but also because these ties give our civic, personal, and political life meaning. The movements that shape societies are built on the obvious but hidden power of purposeful ties between individuals and groups. And these are the connections that sustain democratic practices in everyday life. Some years back, the late sociologist Eric Olin Wright gathered scholars and activists to, quote, envision real utopias. He asked them to think about forms of social organizing that were both utopian and pragmatic. Utopian because they challenged dominant institutions, pragmatic because they could be built in the world as it is. This might be participatory budgeting, in which residents determine a city's budget allocation, or a worker cooperative, in which workers own their workplace. Our first session, which Jason Koznovsky will introduce in a few moments, reflects one of these examples. We'll hear from Joe Geenan about his experience in Cleveland, where lower-income residents organize such a cooperative and gain contracts from major anchor institutions such as universities and hospitals. Local workers earned a livable wage, but also an ownership stake in their workplace. Whether it's a community garden, a neighborhood group, or a worker cooperative, these efforts reveal the same insight. Abstract democratic principles are enacted in the doing, and that doing builds movements for change. As we take in today's conversations, I hope we can think about democracy in this way, as a kind of doing that requires care and is singularly powerful in scaling up our social ties from the interpersonal level to the national scale. Thank you to everyone here for helping reveal these powerful processes in our own region. With that, I want to turn it over to a new member of our community, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences and Education, Dr. Ted Rippey, who has supported this project and encouraged faculty and students to be part of this work. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jacob, and thank you all for being here. As a full-time faculty member, when you're in a situation like this, you feel a sacred duty to be somewhat detailed in your remarks and be able to infuse them with your expertise. As a dean, you have the privilege of being very brief. And also the obligation to keep things on schedule. So I'm going to do both of those right now. Good morning, students. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning to all who have come here today from near and far. To those in the room who are people of Flint, thank you for being guests on our campus, and thank you for being hosts of our campus. I did not have in my notes pause for applause, but I appreciate it. The simple task that I agreed to for this morning was to welcome you. But before I get to that, I'd like to thank you for welcoming me. I'm new around here, as my colleague just noted. I moved to Michigan and started as dean in July. It has been a 4-month intensive learning opportunity. Since then, on this campus and in this city and region, I personally experienced too many examples of generosity, help, and kindness to count. And through my work and my daily life, I've seen and felt the creativity, the innovation, the improvisational energy flowing through this community. It has been heartening and inspiring. I wanted to work at this university because it seemed to me, looking from a distance, that it was a place built for a place. Today's event embodies that, and I'd just like to say a couple words about why, from my perspective as dean, it's exciting. Today's event gives us a chance to talk together, to think together, to share ideas, to learn from each other. It gives us a chance to compare our local knowledge and experiences with those of peers, partners, fellow human beings who live and work elsewhere, such that we achieve a clear understanding of the reality and challenges we face and generate more concrete options for meeting those challenges. It's a chance to imagine together, to explore in real time how we have been, how we are, and how we might yet become co-creators of a shared future. Thank you for your presence at the 2025 Crafts and Pavement Symposium. And on behalf of the College of Arts, Sciences, and Education, welcome to the University of Michigan-Flint.
I want to welcome, thank you, Dean Rippey. I want to now welcome Dominique Clemmons, Genesee County Clerk, to say a few words.
morning, everyone. Again, my name is Dominique Clemmons. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the Genesee County Clerk and Register of Deeds, a position I was first appointed to in 22 and elected to in 2024. And in doing so, we made history in our community. I have the honor of serving as the first African American to hold the position of County Clerk in Genesee County's history, as well as being, the youngest county clerk in the state, as well as the first openly LGBTQ clerk in the history of the state of Michigan. And I say all of that because representation matters. It's not to pump up my resume or my ego, but because in a city like Flint and a place like Genesee County, it's important that we have elected officials that look like our community, that have these shared aspects, the same lived and shared experiences as members of our community. Not just those that might be the elite of our community. And when we think about representation, we think about government and democracy, I can't think of a better title than what our symposium is today, Cracks in the Pavement. We have seen those cracks in the pavement at all levels of government, and a lot of folks are asking ourselves the question, fundamentally, what is our government right now? What are we doing? What should we be doing? But those aren't new questions. It might feel like they're new questions because we might be feeling them a little stronger now. But in my research, my study, that question's been asked just about since the moment the ink dried on the Constitution. What changes need to be made? How can we be better? What rights should we be giving people? And what it seems like, what rights can we take away from people? So today, as we're having conversations of that on the local side of things, one of the words that I'm imagining is going to come up several times is resiliency. I think a lot of times in our community we talk about the resiliency of Flint, that Flint's a resilient town. And as someone that studied political science, I'm a data person, I like stats and data. Resiliency is a hard thing to quantify. How do we measure a resilient community? And there's a lot of folks that have tried to do that in past jobs. I've worked with the Genesee County Chamber of Commerce, the Flint and Genesee group, and we try to quantify that. Is it the number of social organizations, nonprofits that fill in that work when our institutions fail? And we have seen time and time again those institutions fail. Is it the fact that in places like Flint, we see a rise in entrepreneurship and small business ownership when we see the toughest circumstances in the nation? When we have the longest recovery time of recession, we see more people go into business for themselves. Is that what resiliency is? But I think the reality is, resiliency is just a fancy way to say that we've all suffered through a whole lot of stuff together, that we know how to handle things, that we can take care of ourselves. So resiliency to me is not a goal, it is a byproduct of what we have been through. So as we're all learning today from academics, from folks that are dealing with education, in labor, in economic growth, let's ask each other and let's ask ourselves, are we trying to find a solution to fill the cracks in the pavement, or are we looking for ways to build a stronger foundation to move our community forward? Thank you.
Everyone, we just all get ourselves together.